While I'm doing this, I'll tell you guys that I'm very proud and pumped that you guys came to the live class today. I think that is a good omen for you guys as far as your grade in class and your grade on the AP exam because you guys care enough to do such a thing. So attendance assignment, please, so you get credit. The attendance assignments not only show me who's here, but it also shows me, it goes into participation. So if you're watching this video later, you're still going to do the attendance assignment. It's going to come back as late, but late doesn't mean that you won't get full credit. It just lets me see who was live and who wasn't live. And I know a lot of people have bad weather and stuff like that, so that's okay. Speaking of grades, so I sent out a video over Remind, I think Friday or Thursday, about how the grades are working just in general. And so let me see if this makes a difference. It does not. About how the grades are working, so you guys will know what fits into what category. And I sent that to parents too, just because I hate you and I want your parents to yell at you. Not true. I love you guys. So if you've not watched that, watch that. I had 3 parents try to send me Remind messages this weekend. You may have heard, I can't read Remind messages. I see 2 words from it. And so make sure that your parents know that they need to email me. It's been a while since I've gotten one from, I've gotten a message from a student though, so that's pretty good. So, some people are coming in late. If you're coming in late, make sure you go and do the attendance assignment on Canvas. And then also, speaking of grades, there I posted the Unit 4 exam grades last night. You may have seen. The curve ended up being 6 points, but it was out of 55 as opposed to out of 100, just because AP Classroom wouldn't let me make it out of 100. So really, it ended up being like 10-ish points. So, you know, pretty good. And I sent a text out bragging on the champs too. And hang on, I'll tell you who those champs were. Those champs were Silas Durham. In second period, Laura Saylor. Hello, Laura Saylor. And in fourth period, Caden Napier. So congrats. Today, as we take off, I really want to encourage you guys to take notes some way, either on paper or a Google Doc. If I were you, I would have the Google Meet on one side of the screen and the Google Doc on the other side of the screen. I realize that might be difficult because your all's Chromebook screens are about as big as the top screen on a Nintendo DS, but do what you can. And the reason I'm saying that is, of course, this will be recorded. It'll go into the recorded Google Meets folder that's on Canvas. But one thing I'm going to do different this time is I caught quite a few people just copying and pasting stuff off of the PowerPoint, or just copying it down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to post the PowerPoint until the end of the unit. So I hope that as you're watching this, you're taking notes. If you're the kind of person that needs to pause, then of course you can't pause me right now because I'm a human being. But once the video is uploaded, you can pause it and go back and all that kind of stuff. I think that's everything. I'll tell you guys that we're getting to that time of year where I'm expecting you guys to stop me, to say, hey, Mr. Brock, and ask questions and make comments and connections. And I really want you guys to look at that not as you're hurting class, as you are slowing down class, but as you are helping class. Because when students can make those connections, those real life connections, that's the stuff we remember. Okay. Before we get started, does anybody have anything? Ooh, I got some strong coffee. Cafefe. All right. So I'm probably going to only make it to the middle of lesson 5.2. Those are the notes that'll be due on Thursday. All right. So don't think you have to turn in all of the 5.2 notes. It'll get a little convoluted for these first few lessons, but after these first few lessons, everything's pretty straightforward. And it won't be so much of me like just jabbering. Okay. Let's find 5.1 here. And then let's present. Nope. And again, you guys make me very proud that technically this is not a snow day, right? Technically this is an NTI day. But it's still very rad that you guys are doing such a thing. Okay. Okay. We ended on Adam Smith on Friday. Okay. And Adam Smith's main thing is capitalism. All right. There's some other words that basically kind of mean capitalism that you should know for him. One, can you guys see my cursor on the screen when I move it? Excellent. One is free trade. Okay. So on my Adam Smith thing, I'm going to have free trade. And then this word up here I mentioned on Friday, laissez-faire. The real French translation of laissez-faire is let them do. But if we put it in English, it's like let them be or leave them alone. Or as I have here, hands off. So I've got a feeling that very few of you have laissez-faire parents. The kind of parents that kind of let you do what you want and just go with the flow. Okay. You probably don't have a parent that's going to let you stay out as late as you want, roll into the house at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and they're just sitting there and they're like, hey, buddy, what's up? You doing okay? All right, peace. Right? Most of us don't have those kind of hands-off parents. Most of us have parents that if our curfew is 9 o'clock, at 9:01, they'd be calling the state police and texting us cuss words probably because they're so disappointed in us. So that would be a hands-on parent. The thing about laissez-faire and hands-off economics, and this is important, it's government hands-off economy. Government hands-off the economy. So, is the United States capitalist? Just like my relationship status, it's complicated. Isn't that right, Dar? Exactly. I'm kidding. It's not complicated. Love you. She just said it. All right. So if the government was 100% out of the economy, we wouldn't have taxes, right? We wouldn't have welfare, food stamps. We wouldn't have Medicare, Medicaid, right? That's government subsidized healthcare. All right. So a lot of stuff that we do, and really a lot of that stuff is pretty socialist. Okay. So the economy has sucked since March last year, right? So President Trump tried to fix that by taking money from the government and sending it out to the citizens, hoping that the citizens would spend the money and start to kind of build back the economy. FDR did the same thing in the Great Depression, right? So Courtney and I, being true Americans, took our money and went and bought our Trump scooters, as you can see there. Mine's in the front. Mine is not the one with the pink helmet. So we spent our money and tried to help the economy, and it's really fun. And mine goes 24 miles an hour, and I'm getting an upgrade in the spring to make it go 40 miles an hour, and I'm gonna die. So can't wait. So capitalism, hands off. We're not that way. And just like there's not really a country that's truly communist today, there's not really a country that's truly capitalist either. Okay, it's way more complicated. Let's talk about deism. Anybody know what the Latin root deo means? No? It means God. Okay? So, when people start arguing about religion, especially prayer in school, the argument often comes to the founding fathers were Christians, and they would have wanted prayer in school. And just like capitalism, it is not that simple. Okay? The founding fathers were almost completely Christian, right? I mean, there wasn't a Hindu guy that signed the Declaration of Independence, okay? There wasn't just some dude that rolled up from India. He's like, hey, let me sign that. No. But they were Christians with a philosophy attached to their Christianity, and that is deism. Deism comes out of the scientific revolution in that, let's think about the nature of God. All right. And really, the heliocentric universe that we talked about on Friday really inspires deism. Okay, God made us like, he put us on the third planet That's weird. We're going around the sun. Okay. Maybe we're not the most important thing in the world. In the world. Maybe we're not the most important thing in the universe to God. All right. Maybe God's purpose is bigger than the kid in the bedroom tapping on the ant farm, looking at Mr. Brock going to Walmart and picking up a cube of Diet Mountain Dew. Maybe God's way bigger than that. Okay. Now, is God good? Yes. Did God create everything? Yes. Is God really worried about what we do? Probably not. And that's deism. George Washington was a deist. Ben Franklin was a deist. John Adams, the real founder of our country, the real father of the United States, the guy that said, we need a declaration. Deist. Okay? And so if you guys write beside the word deism, the word watchmaker, you'll get deism. And you're all staring blankly, so I guess you've already written it down. They see God as a watchmaker. And, of course, this is a metaphor, right? Watchmakers in 1650 are pretty much magicians. It's insane what these guys do. They have these tiny little gears, and they're so perfectly connected that I can wind this thing on the side and it tells me that it's 4:17. That's insane. So when they give God this watchmaker moniker, it's huge respect. You made all of this, God, and it truly was a miracle. Okay? And we respect you so much. We don't think you're that worried about us. We think that you made the watch, that is the universe, you wound it up, and then you went to deal with like God stuff. We can't comprehend what God stuff is because God is such a big deal. Does anybody know anything about Thomas Paine? This is where you turn your microphone on and you tell me what you might know about Thomas Paine. I'll tell you what, this is Thomas Paineful. Am I right? Hey now. So, Thomas Paine wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense, and it got passed around all of the colonies. And it basically said, man, it's common sense. We need to get the heck out of here. The king's a jerk. We're getting taxated and we're not even represented. Neither of those are words. So Thomas Paine's a pretty important dude. And here he is writing about deism. The deist needs none of those tricks and show called miracles to confirm his faith. For what can be a greater miracle than the creation itself and his own existence? So these are the metaphor people that we talked about on Friday. People that kind of see, you know, the walking on water, the turning water into wine, the fishes and loaves. They're not saying that stuff didn't happen, but they're saying that stuff is way more important as a metaphor than as something that actually went down. And so these are the deists. All right. Word you got to know. Oh, it's not on this one. It's that one. Okay, hang on. So the scientific revolution goes directly to the Enlightenment. And another word for the Enlightenment is the age of reason. The age of reason. And if we can rethink why it's raining, if we can rethink why is the heart the thing that keeps us alive? At the beginning of this time period, people thought the liver was the most important organ. They're like, your soul is in your liver. If we can rethink these things, if we can rethink the very idea of God, let's start thinking about government. Let's start thinking about economics. Okay, and I'm going to give you guys a note here. Interesting. So the note is Enlightenment equals scientific revolution applied to society. Scientific revolution applied to society. Scientific method applied to society. This is going to start kind of slow, but by the time it's over with, people are going to realize that there's nothing about African people that makes it okay for them to be slaves. And a lot of people are going to start realizing there's nothing about women that makes it okay that they don't get to serve in government or get to be doctors. Because that is, that kind of thinking is logical, right? Like if we went down to an anatomy level and we have a dead man and a dead woman and we take their brains out, we're not going to see a difference, right? Or a dead white person and a dead black person, take their brains out, we're not going to see a difference. And so we start being kind of logical about stuff like that. And so why are people poor? Should we take care of the poor people? Are poor people people? Right? Are those people over there? Are they people? Right? It's that kind of ideology. So, what do we call these people? We call them philosophers. Okay. This word looks like philosopher because it's the French word for philosopher, philosophers. And so here are the beliefs that most philosophers agree with. One, we got to use logic and reason. Those. There are universal truths, natural laws. And so I would have a note that says natural laws. And I would say from God. From God. By the way, if you believe in God, you should always capitalize God. And you also capitalize any pronouns that you use for God. So when you say, God said that he loved the world, capitalize the H. Some bonus English for you there. Natural laws. Everything can be explained. Why was there an earthquake? Okay. Did God grow 7,000 times and then shake the world? Well, that's pretty wild. What if it has to do, what can we go drill in the ground and see if there's like plates that are moving around? Why do these plates move around? Is there magma underground? Right? All of these like things that we just know today, right? Why is there ice outside? You know, there was a time when people were like, okay, it gets cold and it snows, but sometimes it gets cold and it doesn't snow. I don't understand that. Until a guy comes up with a thermostat or a thermometer, not a thermostat, a thermometer, and says, oh, when it gets down to 32, then it snows, right? Stuff like that. These people are progressive. They look to the future. A lot of them are utopian. Utopian. Meaning, one day, we can get to a place where everyone is equal, where everyone is fed, where nobody wants anything because we have everything that we could ever need or want. Are you guys seeing that these people are starting to sound a lot like liberals? I got one smile and 7 blank stares. Perfect. All right. So we need to improve ourselves. We need to improve the world. And then natural rights. So in the US, probably the most famous philosopher in the US is not French. It's this guy named Thomas Jefferson, who hung out with the French all the time. And he comes back and he writes this thing called the Declaration of Independence. And it says that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Endowed means given, right? Endowed means given. And unalienable means they can't be alien. They can't be taken away from me. Okay. And so what that means is God gives me rights that you can't take away. So then they start writing out what these rights are. And then that becomes the Bill of Rights. God gave me freedom of speech. God gave me freedom of religion. God gave me a right to privacy. God gave me a right to get together with my friends, right? To assemble. God gave me the right to petition the government. God gave me the right to write down anything I can, anything I want. And then if you want to sum that all up, God gave me the right to do whatever the heck I want to do, as long as it doesn't hurt someone else. Right? That's that. Natural rights. They come now. These guys say natural rights like they come from nature. But really, what they're saying is they're natural, like it's just common sense. God gave it to us. Durr. That's what they say. The end of the Declaration of Independence just says durr. All right. So we're going to talk about why the Enlightenment happens. Now, remember, the Enlightenment is applying the scientific method, reason, rationality to society. So, first guy we have up here is a Renaissance painter. He's doing all this studying, right? He's got his books here. He's looking out into the world and he's painting. And so the first reason the Enlightenment began is, and you can just put this on one word, Renaissance. Okay. Ooh, I have an example. Okay. So, hey, Dar. Oh, no, hold on. It's cool. All right, check out this rad example. All right. The word Renaissance means rebirth. It means rebirth. All right. And so the people in the Renaissance believe that during the time of Greece and Rome, there was this brightness of thought and rationality and art, and people were living up to their highest standards. Okay. So for that idea, they say it's really bright. Okay. Now, this is a question that I'm not going to move on until someone attempts to answer it. What is the difference? What is the opposite of light? Does anyone have any compassion for the sweet boy that's attempting to teach the children? The opposite of light. Hey, Dar, can I quit being a teacher? Can I quit my job? She said no. So you could do a real hand raise or a virtual hand raise if you know what the opposite of light is. This is hate and disrespect. Oh, it's time to go to the bathroom. Hopefully you went before class. So nobody in here knows the opposite of light. I'm more stubborn than you are. Carly, God bless you, child.
I mean, there's dark.
Thank you, Carly. That's the correct answer. So there's this time of great brightness during Greece and Rome. But after that happens, the fall of Rome happens, and then we go into these ages called the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, medieval times, 1,000 years, 500 to 1,500. We're in the Dark Ages. Not a lot's going on. Not a lot. You with us, Robert? Okay. Not a lot's going on in the Dark Ages. And not a lot of art, not a lot of innovation, not a lot of travel. Europe sucks. Okay. The Muslims are over here killing it. China's Sui Tang sunging it. Everything's going great. And Europe's just like scratching dirt, being afraid that God's going to throw a lightning bolt at them for 1,000 years. But then we get the Renaissance, and we say it is a rebirth. And everything's bright again. There's knowledge, there's science, there's art, there's everything. Oh my God, guys, it's just like Greece and Rome. We're back, baby. Let's go. And by let's go, it means let's go take over the world and destroy the planet pretty much, okay? So the Renaissance is going to be, let's get educated. Let's think about stuff. Let's read books. We can read books because this guy named Gutenberg created a printing press. Do you remember this? No or yes? There we go. Education. Now, over here, this is a well-known rapist, slave owner, and person who led to 90% of 2 continents being killed by smallpox. Yes, you guessed it right, Christopher Columbus. Here he is landing in the Dominican Republic. Ooh, wrong button. Right button. So because we're exploring, we're reaching out. And to go to different places and to become knowledgeable of the world really makes for a different worldview. Okay. And so we're seeing new things. We're learning. We're challenging things. Anybody have a guess of this guy? Who this guy might be? Virtual hand up. Come on. First one to get it up is the best. Who might this monk hammering a paper to a church door? Who might this be? First hand is the best student. Good. Laura, who is he?
Martin Luther?
Yes, Queen. So here we got Martin Luther questioning the church. Guys, if we can question the church, we can question anything. Okay, the church ran education in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages. And anything that they saw as against their doctrine, they said it's false. It's not real. Okay. And so let's start to explore new ideas. And this right over here is why can't I think of his name? Louis, thank you, Louis the 14th. And all these smart people are getting smarter, and we're being thoughtful, and we're reading, and we're thinking. But at the very same time, we have kings being the most selfish, jerky than kings have ever been. And so they're blowing money. They're going to war that most people think is dumb. They are putting all these rules and laws on people that people are against. And so everybody's getting smarter, everybody's being more thoughtful, and here are these dumb absolute kings. And the absolute kings are about to get screwed. We're going to have some revolutions coming. Okay. Does anybody know right offhand when we oh, I have it here. 47. Oh, crud. I only have 4 minutes. So that's the beginning of the Enlightenment. And this slide right here, and if you're putting your notes together and you go back and use the video for your notes, this slide right here basically shows the way the scientific revolution leads to the Enlightenment. Okay, heliocentric. Thank you.
Did it not come back on?
Yeah, turn it back on. I was doing a thing.
Oh,
No, I want to. Thank you. Heliocentric says we're not at the center of the universe. The sun is. Math supports it. Scientific method. And scientists become so much more important. Then the Enlightenment. Let's apply it to society. Let's start thinking about how government should be. Let's be rational. Okay? And so here it says, scientific revolution, we start applying logic, scientific method. We shatter old ideas, and the philosophers start to think about how we're going to make a society. And so that is the utopia stuff that I talked about earlier. So how are we going to govern? The old way to govern is divine right. And friends, make sure you know what divine right is. It's the right to rule given by God. It's the right to rule given by God. And the new idea is consent of the governed. Consent of the governed. Meaning, we give you king, president, Congress, parliament. We give you consent to govern us. And that's where we're going to head to on Thursday. Okay. And so here's where we stand. We finished 5.1. Okay. So the notes that are going to be due on Thursday morning at 8 are going to be just the stuff we did in the lesson today. So it's basically going to be the second half of 5.1. And that's what's going to be due. And so we didn't get started on 5.2, which is fine. These 5.1 and 5.2, they need a lot of explanation. But as we go on down the road, there'll be a lot less. Quick question. Do any of you guys, are any of you guys having any